Hello, and welcome to the darkest timeline.
Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Darkest Timeline. I'm David.
I'm Ian. I'm Dylan.
I'm John.
I'm Brett.
And today we have a special guest.
Woo, I'm Josh.
Who the hell are you and why'd you get in here?
I'm friends with Dave, and we're tall, so
Brinloff's gonna be pissed.
Doesn't care.
Today we watched a movie that totally justified Wesley Snipes not paying taxes. We watched Blade Trinity.
No, Blade 3 Trinity.
Blade 3 Trinity.
Blade Trinity.
It's Blade Trinity under IMDb.
I mean, I think it's stylized, so there's a 3 in there.
Yeah.
Blade
Like
Trace.
3 lines.
Blade Trace.
it's a religious connotation, let's be honest.
It was a terrible movie,
Yes.
but it was, well, let's just go straight to it. Dylan, give us the plot.
Josh, give us the plot.
Okay, so the plot of Blade Trinity is this: is that Blade and Whistler, we've seen them at the end of Blade 2, now they're back, they're fighting any old run-of-the-mill vampires. They don't really seem to care, there's no big bad that they're trying to face down. They do some really badass stuff, and then eventually Blade accidentally kills a human in the midst of a battle.
Ruh-roh.
This seems to be a problem, not only for the plot of the film, but also for the mythos of Blade. He kills a human, he's framed for it, his picture is plastered up. Oh no, he's going to be framed. What? It's a plot that ends up getting dropped about halfway through. Then the police come, they kill Whistler, because, poor guy needs to die again. Blade gets arrested, and then randomly is saved by snarky Ryan Reynolds and some girl who turns out to be Whistler's daughter. Jessica Biel, who is hot. Hot. Right, John? Come on.
She's hot, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So she's hot in this, with abs there. Good, thanks, John. So, they rescue Blade. They all sit and talk about vampires for a while.
45 minutes.
Yeah. And then it turns out, and then as it turns out, the vampires have resurrected Dracula from the cradle of civilization, Syria or Iraq. Although it's probably Africa. We don't really know. That's just sort of what happened.
Cradle of civilization.
So, so he comes back, and how does Dracula come back? As a, Bram Stoker's, Gary Oldman-like stylistic vampire? No. Techno, emo vampire that nobody wants to see. So he shows up and he's going to be awful. He's going to wreak vengeance on... No, he's just a thug who just hangs out and is doing the whims of Parker Posey, ladies and gentlemen. Parker Posey is in this movie. In fact, I kept a tally of how many times that we said, what the with this casting? 10 times we said it collectively as a group. So basically they brought Dracula back. He's not known. Let's go back to Blade. Blade is rescued by the Night Stalkers, Hannibal King, played by Ryan Reynolds, and Abigail Whistler, played by Jessica Biel. The Night Stalkers are part of a huge group of sleeper cells, they never really get into that, who are fighting vampires. Blade calls them amateurs, they don't get along, there's tension. Patton Oswalt shows up. Patton Oswalt dies because that's what he does. And eventually, they say, hey, we're trying to create an antivirus for vampires. They don't really talk a lot about it because it's kind of confusing. And eventually, the vampires show up. They kill everyone except for Jessica Biel. They kidnap Ryan Reynolds, take him away to their secret lair, which was in Canada. Basically, we're not really sure. It's
Vancouver?
I feel like the entire
Crate and Barrels were.
I feel like the entire movie was in Canada.
Yeah, it was filmed in Canada. It was filmed in Vancouver. So they take him back to the secret lair to use we don't know why, just to torture him, but it turns out that he's got a tracking device in his ass because, let's face it, Ryan Reynolds probably has a tracking device in his actual ass for somebody.
His agent.
Have you seen that ass?
So Blade and Abigail come to his rescue. They save him. Oh, and there's a whole subplot about the vampire final solution where they are getting homeless people off the street, keeping them in comas, and then sucking their blood dry for years. Never developed. Eventually, what ends up happening is Blade, Abigail, Hannibal King kill the main vampires. Drake dies. They create a virus very, very quickly. And that's how it ends. There's your rundown.
Well, all the vampires die. Did you actually mention that Dracula was called Drake, or did you just say Drake dies in the
Oh, maybe. But let's be honest. If Drake, the rapper, had also died, because it makes sense. He's in Canada already. He just showed
That's
up.
a good point, yeah.
And went over there. It's like, oh,
Coincidence? I think not.
I have one small problem with your.
Purist.
Blade wasn't framed for a murder. He murdered somebody.
And the murder guy, his dying breath is, "You idiot! You killed a human!"
Gotcha.
So wait, here's my big problem with that scene, is that they establish in the first Blade that Blade can tell the difference between a human and a vampire by the way they stand, walk, and smell. And then he walks up to the guy and goes, "Why aren't you dead?" It's like, because you would have known that already, you asshole.
David Goyer didn't hear about Blade until he wrote this movie.
But he also wrote Blade and Blade 2. This is directed by David
That's the
Goyer,
joke.
the guy who also wrote who wrote the Batman Dark Knight trilogy.
And
David.
Man of Steel.
Yes.
No, really?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And that was okay. Anyway, let's
So,
talk about this.
since we have a full slate of people on our panel today, we're gonna we're gonna push through here, and we're gonna talk about highlights and lowlights, and we're gonna do both of them by person because I think that'll be quicker.
Jesus. Oh my God. So much structure.
No, we need the structure. We need the
Yeah.
structure. Because
There's a lot of
I'm
people.
here and I will talk forever.
All right, I will do
fair.
I will do my highlights and lowlights first because I'm springing it on y'all, and at least that'll give you some
ain't
time
cool,
to
man.
think.
Yeah.
So my favorite part of this movie were the vampire dogs, especially the vampire Pomeranian. I couldn't get enough of that little guy. I just wanted to walk him around and perhaps.
He owns a little dog.
I own a little dog. Mouse, our therapy dog, our
Yes.
resident therapy dog, is
a small one.
13 pounds.
Resident. Not so resident, though. It doesn't stick around because it barks.
Not
now.
that I care. I'm not making any judgments. I'm just saying.
Right.
You've got a small dog that
I do.
It's a Tibetan dog.
Beautiful temple dog. So I love the fact that they brought the vampire creatures in it, and I would like to have seen more of them, like vampire cats,
Ooh, wait.
vampire hamster.
Do you know
Vampire
the
parrots.
original ending
Vamsters.
of this film? The cut ending of this film is that they have hybrid at some point vampires with humans and dogs and created werewolves. And the original ending of this film is Hannibal King and Abigail Whistler hunting werewolves in a Vegas casino.
I would see.
Why
that
didn't they
ending.
do that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That sounds way cooler than the we just watched.
Yeah, but you know they'd still make it all
That's what
exposition
Blade
and talking.
Thornby would have been.
It'd all be exposition and talk and not actually good fighting.
What's really interesting about that too is they've got the little dogs there. Like they set it up, and like Chekhov's guns are on the wall there, and they just didn't pull the trigger.
Well, I mean, I think it would then turn into Underworld from that point, which isn't a bad thing because Underworld is a good series.
It was pretty close to Underworld. Just as
Ooh,
the way it
wait.
was.
Can you imagine Jessica Biel in the leather of Kate Beckinsale from Underworld?
It's too much leather. Too much
Okay,
clothing.
too much.
Oh no.
I would be like Blade when he stood up once he got saved. Raging boner.
Obvious boner.
So when Blade
boner.
gets saved in this movie from the jail cell, there was a crotch shot, which makes his package,
shot.
yes, thank you. That makes his package look well endowed, which and at least it's semi-erect.
Stiff.
Come on, you think Wesley Snipes is that small?
I wrote Blade Boner. That's all I need to know.
All right.
Blade Boner.
It was there, but my favorite part was the dogs. My least favorite part was the fact that Dracula is supposed to be a big bad evil guy. Dracula, the first vampire, doesn't have any motivations.
No.
No real ambition for power.
Amen.
Not particularly brutal as a
Say it.
character. He's just there looking like the guy from Prison Break.
Yeah, well-
Sometimes, and other times, he just transforms into other people because he
To
can.
be fair, he didn't ask to be brought back. He was brought back, and they're like, "We need you," and he's like, "Okay, I guess."
I feel like that's
None
how
of
they.
this was his plan.
That's how they got Wesley Snipes into this movie.
You also did get to see Chris Christopherson in a puffy shirt with a deep V and lots of necklaces.
Oh,
Yeah, but
For that guy.
Chris Christopher, you were talking about the old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best though.
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson's
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
saying. And you got to see him in a puffy, deep V shirt with a lot of necklaces. Because of
There's a point in the
because of
movie
Dracula.
where Dracula transforms into
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson, so that's
Right,
why.
oh,
he has
I'm
this-
sorry, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
I'm saying for our listeners,
Right, okay.
are all 9
and
of
for
them.
Brett, who apparently didn't watch the movie.
Well, guys, I was drinking.
So those are my high and low. Is someone else ready?
Right, whatever.
Wow, this entire side of the table is wearing glasses.
The other side is all beard.
Yeah.
Well, I have a goatee.
Well,
You
okay.
have facial hair. John, why don't you have facial hair?
My job.
Ah.
Yeah. Who's next?
Whoever wants to go next.
All right. So, my high points in this is I really love the action scenes. I guess at least until the final fight scene between Blade and Dracula. It was really disappointing. But other than that, all the fight scenes were really, really awesome. What else? I love
Respectfully
that.
disagree.
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to compare it to the previous Blade and Blade 2, it's not that awesome. But
Okay.
The highlight of this film, the fight scenes were cool. Blade's fight scenes. Not. In the first beginning of the movie, it was pretty cool. Everyone was like, "Okay, yeah, this is cool. This fight scene." He was beating ass.
Then the bar was raised by other people.
Yeah, that's okay. A low point of mine is how did Jessica Biel? She was struggling in her first fight against low level vamps.
There were 4 of them.
I don't care. It was. Okay, and this is the reason why I don't care, because at the end of the movie, all of a sudden she's basically female Blade. All of a sudden she's just kicking ass, and these are guys with riot gear that don't have guns, and she's just whooping ass. She's turning around, she's seeing people behind her that she got ass on the back of her head. She's just doing kicks and all kind of shit. And it's like, wait, who is this? Did they shoot this?
Originally, Blade and Abigail Whistler were supposed to be a romantic couple.
Yeah.
And in fact, they were supposed to have a sex scene that Wesley Snipes kept pushing for and apparently got pissed that they didn't happen.
Yeah, he was like, no, I want to have a sex scene with Jessica Biel. Can we just have that? Can we do that, please?
we at
Can we
least-
do that?
Are you
Guys,
gonna tell
I just
me-
want to be with Jessica Biel.
So
on film.
the female
Please.
Blade, she's supposed to be the female Blade.
Are you
right?
gonna try and tell me that Ryan Reynolds wasn't pushing for a sex scene with Jessica Biel?
They probably did, but it's off camera.
Dominic Purcell also wanted a sex scene with Jessica Biel.
Triple H was wanting a sex scene with Jessica Biel. You're like, can we fit it in there somehow?
I think David Gore was asking for a sex scene.
Everyone's like, who's that guy? I was like, oh, he's just the director.
And the
Put it
writer.
in.
John Michael Higgins or whatever the guy.
I mean, I was asking for a sex scene with Jessica
Chris
Biel.
Christopherson was.
We know.
I
We
know
heard
she's.
you. I was
in the
sitting
film,
next to
she's my
you.
daughter. But
Yes, and she's old enough to be my daughter, but
She's not in a lot of movies anymore. I wonder why.
Oh yeah. Well, another highlight of the film for me, which aren't really okay. Ryan Reynolds had a pretty good. That's probably his best joke, the Care Bear joke that he had with Blade. There was a secondary lead female vampire. She was really hot.
Parker Posey.
No, not her.
secondary.
The
The
Asian one.
Yeah, she was the most
Yeah.
attractive.
Again, in
showed up,
case
like,
you
twice.
don't know that we're racist, we don't know her name. She's
looked-
the Asian one.
She
apparently.
looks like a dollar store version of Olivia Munn.
she wasn't even important enough to have a name in the movie.
In the movie, that's
so
true.
how would we even know how to look up her name?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, you would find the only Asian name on IMDb in
Well,
the
they had an
Blade
Asian
Trinity
guy
page.
that was kicking at Jessica Biel.
Female Asian name. Yeah, there you go.
Well, okay, yeah. So, what else? Jessica Biel was hot. She was second to the
Taking
Asian
too many
girl.
things. You gotta quit saying positive.
There's
'cause
6
we're running
people.
out.
Well, okay, because those are my only positive things. All my negatives, that's
You got
really
one.
Well, the negatives were
Just use one. Use one. Damn
Use
it.
one?
Use
Okay.
one.
The negativist.
I didn't like Dracula nor what's her name? Jossie?
Joss Wheaton.
No, what? He's not in it.
He's not in the
The
movie.
female lead vampire.
Parker Posey.
Parker Posey. Wow, I completely had her name
Way
wrong.
off.
Yeah, way
But
off.
yeah, that's how much I didn't care about it.
Samsonite. I was way off.
Her acting was awful.
Oh.
Yeah, it was awful. She looked like she was high throughout the whole movie.
She was eating the scenery. She was
She was chewing it up.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, what do you think of Ryan Reynolds' acting?
Ryan Reynolds was Ryan Reynolds, man.
The vampire's name is Virago,
Who?
and
That's the
her,
Asian
her name is
actress.
Francois Yip.
Yes, Olivia Munn knockoff. Yes.
Yes.
Francois
But
Yip.
Francois does
Wait,
not sound
what's her
very
name
Asian.
in the movie?
Virago?
Is that ever said in the movie?
Dear Lord, let's see that photo again.
Well,
Yes.
this is her real name, right?
No, her real name is
Francois
Francois
Yip.
Yip.
No, that was her name in the movie.
No,
that's
no,
her
that is
name.
her name. That is her actual name.
But yeah. Anyway, who's next? Highlights, lowlights.
Okay, highlight. I guess you took away that Jessica Biel was hot, so I can't use that anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
you
you
can
can
use it.
By the way,
expound
there are
on it.
no women on this panel, in case you were wondering, gentle listener.
We've been trying
No,
to
Jessica
work
Biel's
on
on
that,
this
but
panel,
we're not
by the
really
way.
actually trying to work on that.
Hi, Jessica.
I can only imagine like most of our listeners listen once and go, "These guys are racist, sexist
It's all you with the racist
You're the
stuff.
racist
Yeah.
nerds
I
that
mean,
don't have friends."
According to the Facebook statistics of who likes our posts, but obviously doesn't actually listen to the podcast because we don't
Donald
get
Trump
that many
voters?
listeners, it's men, in quotes, between 13 and 17 years old.
And me.
Kill me.
That's how I got this gig, was I listened to your podcast and insisted I be on it.
So if anybody listens, just write in. You'll be on the cast.
Also in the United States and Ireland mostly.
Oh, okay.
all right.
On
that makes
Facebook,
sense.
the Facebook likes.
I want an Irish friend.
Yeah, my Irish peeps.
I mean, it's weird because we have a fake Irish deity on our podcast too. So.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
I wonder
up,
if
Irish
they think
guy?
it's real.
But that's in the end. People wouldn't know.
All right, let's get back to the movie.
So I can't mention Jessica Biel, even though just expound on it. But she's
Yeah.
super hot in this movie.
What's she wearing? Tell me.
Not little enough.
Right?
That was Dylan. Basically speaking for me. I'm gonna say one of my favorite parts of the movie was definitely not actually in the movie. It was
all right.
it was during one of the explosions in the beginning when their hideout was blowing up in the beginning of the movie, and Dave just suddenly said out loud, "I hope there's a place in heaven that's perpetually 2004."
Yeah.
I really liked that.
The explosion of Blade and Whistler's hideout in the first act of the film lasts for what, 30 minutes? It's a 30-minute
God,
explosion?
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
an
so
explosion. It's
Like
it's
90.
successive explosions.
Yeah, okay.
It's basically a page out of Michael Bay's playbook.
Oh, exactly. One explosion done 20 times over and over.
Go ahead, Dylan.
So
I didn't even say what I didn't
Yeah,
like yet.
tell us.
Well,
Oh,
so
then get
am
there
I,
already.
buddy.
I
Come on, what are you
literally,
dragging your feet for?
I don't think I did. I wrote a single thing down that I was like, I hate this, which
Really?
is weird to me
Yeah, that's weird.
because I usually only write those things down.
What's the matter with
I was
you?
only writing stuff down that I was like, that was neat.
We'll get there.
Okay, oh, there we go. There's something I didn't like. The half sun laser bow thing.
What is that
Everything
exactly?
up to that point, I don't know when the hell did that pop out?
It pops up in the Jessica Biel fight scene when
With the baby.
when she's first introduced. She suddenly pulls this out of literally out of her butt. you
20
think.
minutes in?
About 25 minutes in.
25
mad
minutes
about
in.
that.
Yeah, I know.
Everything up
More
to that
butt.
point, I was like
Yeah.
suspension of disbelief vampire movie. Suddenly she pulls out this thing that unwraps itself and does a UV laser that's apparently half as hot as the sun and cuts some vampires in half. And I'm like, well, all suspension of disbelief is gone. It's out the window. I don't care anymore.
It's kind of like those fancy cheese cutters. Those wire
Yeah.
cheese cutters.
But only it's a laser.
Yeah.
It's white or purplish.
And half the power of the sun.
and half the power of the sun.
So here's my beef with technology, problems in films is that people, does anyone remember Die Another Day, the James Bond film? And everyone had a huge problem with the invisible car, right? The invisible car, it sucks. Except 3 years ago, a dude actually invented it and actually made one and
I remember that.
But to
and
be
it existed.
to be half
No,
as
it's
hot
not as bad as crazy,
sun.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
she activates
Well-
that 3 inches from her, or 2 inches from her skin later in
Her
the movie.
beautiful boom skin.
Beautiful white skin. That was the one
Yeah,
when she
she's
finally
got-
took off that biker jacket and she was only wearing a white tank top, and I'm like, good on you, Jessica Biel.
Wasn't
tight
has,
enough.
She definitely has skin cancer after pulling that thing out.
Yeah, right.
Well, that whole twice or half as hot of that could have been hyperbole.
Well,
Even if it's 1/8 the heat of the
It has to
sun,
be UV.
I would not want to get within
Well, anything.
5 city blocks.
Anything to be a
Thing.
fraction I of want to be the heat within of the a sun. city of it.
So she doesn't have a tan at the end of the movie?
John
no.
likes Jessica
Hey,
Biel.
No,
guys.
I don't
Who's
think
that
she
black
did,
chick?
and I was looking rather
Which
intently.
black chick?
Oh man, they replaced Jessica Biel with some black chick, man. That's awesome.
It was Black Jessica Biel.
This is a diverse cast. Wow. This is
It's Jessica Biel.
Waxing the Beal, really? You're not allowed back.
There are only three real monsters: Dracula, Blackula, and Son of Kong. We all know this. We've all watched Futurama.
Oh, they forgot about Blackula. Blackula, he's the only one left. But he's
At the end, yeah.
Well,
They
he's
never
cool.
brought
Him and Blade are cool.
Yeah.
I thought Blackula was Blade.
No, wow, they all look alike to you, don't they?
No, just later in life.
All black vampires look the same.
I thought John was Blade.
For a second, I almost had grew a high top fade.
I have a question. Can anybody on the podcast hear us sweating? We are all sweating.
I just had to wipe sweat out of my eyes because it was burning.
I thought you were gonna say something else, but I'm glad you said I.
Summer in
How about
LA
you?
is
Who else has
Open
positive
up a window.
negatives?
Nope.
I don't even know. High and low.
You've had so much time to think
High and
about it,
low.
Brett.
You don't even know.
I'd say
like
my
your
goodness.
rhyming.
My goodness. I'd say my high is definitely the casting. It
Yes.
is bad nuts.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is great.
No.
Ryan Reynolds is a prince among men.
All right, just to cut to the chase here, guys. I fucking hate Ryan Reynolds so much. Everybody here is like sucking Ryan Reynolds' d***.
Only.
Oh god.
How could I fit it in my mouth?
Oh.
And he shaves. There will be no hair there.
By the way, if I have quotes, those are all quotes. By the way, those are all quotes for you to reuse.
Those weren't isolated quotes, Brett.
Well, I digress. I'm not a big fan of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Jonathan.
But I respect that he doesn't suck that bad. When he shines, he shines.
Well,
Most of the time,
sure.
he doesn't really don't in some of these movies.
There you go. 80-20.
Sure, okay.
All right. He's an 80-20 actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parker Posey, weird. Triple H, weird. Eric Bogosian's in this. That's awesome. Chris Christopherson, of course. Patton Oswalt.
Where'd that come
Natasha
from?
Lyonne from American
Natasha
Pie.
Lyonne.
Orange is the New
Can
Black.
we talk about Triple H for a second?
Of course we can.
No.
The
We
silver,
can always talk about
the
Triple
silver
H. Oh,
teeth.
Silver Teeth
That was,
Fangs.
Yeah,
that was
she's got,
badass, man.
Yeah, that's got
Fang grill.
So he can kill his own vampire.
That kills him.
that would kill
Eventually.
him. That
Well-
would eventually kill him.
Well, see,
If he bit his...
if he
if
bit
he's
his
chewing
lip.
too much food and he bites his own
It
lip...
could be tin.
It was
could be
punched
tin.
into his mouth and killed him. That is what killed him in the movie.
No,
Really?
Yeah.
No, it was the bullet.
no.
Like a bomb.
It was
thing.
one. It was one of the sun dogs.
You weren't
that,
paying
that,
attention.
Hannibal.
And why the f*** they call them sun dogs, guys? Come on.
That's what Ryan Reynolds
It was
That's
too-
just dumb writing.
It was 2004. We can always say it was 2004.
Blame
Yeah.
David Goyer like everything else.
well,
boy,
I
Zing.
would say that there's aluminum in his mouth. He's
think
not
so?
a stupid vampire.
Oh, come on. That's what I think is cool. That he
It's
puts
just for
silver in
show.
there and he can kill other vampires because he's such a badass. He doesn't give a shit who it is.
It's
He'll
like
kill
a
him.
grill. It's like that's around the times when grills were hot.
No, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's true.
he got a vampire grill.
It's right. He did. He got the
Yeah,
vampire
his-
grill.
So yeah, his fangs are silver, and they've got those glyphs on them. So like they're carved into them. That was an interesting character choice that they never go into.
Yeah.
This movie is so many setups and no payoffs, or only payoffs with no setups, that it is a screenwriter's structural. That's what this movie is.
Jeez.
Oh, hey.
Sorry.
I was talking about the casting. That was
You
really
like-
what the f***.
Really like the casting. I got it.
Well, not like the casting, just what the f***.
I thought it was your favorite part.
What, yeah, because it's what the f***.
That's not how favorite works.
Oh, it's my favorite.
This is stupid. I love it. But it's horrible.
Isn't that what the point
I feel
of this
that way
movie
about
is?
Flash Gordon the movie.
And then Ryan Reynolds,
movie?
I would have to say, is my worst
Sam
part.
Jones.
Ryan Reynolds is the worst part of this movie.
Really? He's the worst part of this
For
movie?
me, he is.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
That's 'cause you hate Ryan Reynolds.
I really do. I really hate
You
that
have an
guy.
odd sexual attraction to Ryan
No.
Reynolds that you're trying to repress.
I even wrote down, I
Is
thought
it
my
really
beard was
that
bad.
odd?
How about Ryan Reynolds' beard in this movie?
Okay, that's a
What
fair
the
point.
f***
Yeah,
was
his
that
beard.
thing?
Yeah, no, his beard
That
was.
beard was awful.
Awful.
But anything he
hate that
lost in beard points.
Because you think I'm sexually attracted to him? I think you've got a huge boner for him. You got a blade boner for him.
It was better than my first beard.
Which was at 12, apparently.
He made it up in his 12 pack.
14.
Speaking of Ryan Reynolds' 12-pack, so he was eating literally no food and working out. Well, not literally no food. He went on this crazy diet where he was working out 4 hours a day, putting
To lose 10 pounds?
3 hours in the gym, and then he was doing an hour of fight training a day.
For this movie?
For this movie.
His fight
What
training
the
did not
This
What
is
are
the
you
first
talking
movie
about?
that he had to be buff
But
for.
he gave an interview where they said, "Do you still have that six pack?" He goes, "It's more of a one. It's basically a keg at this point." Where he like lost it as soon as it happened.
Ryan Reynolds, if we were all in shape like Ryan Reynolds was in shape, we'd have enough fat to make a whole extra person.
We would, yes. That's true.
podcast.
Except for John. John is obviously a healthy specimen of a
Now,
man.
just to wrap up my thing, I want to give these two things.
I'm
Three
relatively
things.
healthy.
Nope.
How many things?
Listen, okay, two of them are Dave quotes.
Relatively.
You're not Ryan Reynolds hot.
I said healthy. I said healthy.
Now listen,
Okay.
I'm quoting Dave on this.
That-
Quote, Dave said, Parker Posey could be a juggalo in this movie, which is
And he'd still like
Yeah,
her.
he said I wouldn't care if she was a juggalo in this movie. He'd still like her.
that's weirder. I wish
Yes,
I caught
yes,
that
it
part.
is.
I know I've talked a
1,182 deaths, by the way. Apparently Blade has killed that many people.
Yeah.
Good for
We
him.
said in the movie.
Familiars.
Familiars.
Familiars? Whatever.
Yeah,
He doesn't count
he didn't count vampires because
Oh.
apparently that number is too damn high.
Guest Josh, what was your high and low?
I'm gonna say that my high in this movie was I have two. One was Jessica Biel's costuming was actually the best costuming in the film.
Loved it.
Well, it
That was too much.
It also fit her character. Though.
It did.
Her pants, like how her
pants?
style of fighting. The pants fit well, so that's nice.
The zipper sleeves.
It makes.
Oh, those
but
are terrible.
But
Everything's terrible,
okay, but
you
it
brat.
made sense if you shoot bow and arrows. Are you a bow and arrow shooter? You need to be able to
Then
get
why
out.
wear sleeves?
Okay,
Point
fair.
already mute.
Or when you're not shooting a bow and
Bow and
arrow.
arrow.
Oh, well, of course, because you got to stay warm, guys.
And
God, you're an
you
idiot.
don't
it's
wanna
cold in Vancouver.
And her
right.
prison tattoos.
All right. The other. So there was that, and there was a point in the movie where Triple H and some Bobo vampire are taking turns beating up Ryan Reynolds, and Triple H literally tag teams the guy in
Oh, yeah.
beating him.
To kick him in the face.
Kick him in the face,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Did Triple H just tag team someone in
yeah.
this movie?"
Well,
Yeah.
And
force of habit, muscle memory.
I guess.
Muscle memory. He is only muscle.
And there's a
isn't he?
moment where Blade rescues a baby, and he looks at the baby and says, "Coochie coo." Like, Coochie coo.
That was hilarious.
That was
man.
very funny.
It was so menacing.
My lows for
With
this
love.
movie are Dracula. There's a lot of ideas that don't come to fruition in this film,
yeah.
and that's very obvious. Wesley Snipes is actually terrible in this film, but I gotta say,
He can't be terrible in a film he's not in.
one of my biggest lows though in this film is that there's no style. There's no style in this movie. This movie is a grindhouse kind of film. It's like they found sets, and the sets are built. They had a $52 million budget on
Right.
this movie, and it grossed $52 million domestically.
Really?
It did. It made
Wow.
$76 million internationally.
And they were like, we made it.
yeah. Well,
We'll say it's a loss so we can write it
they
off.
had the same budget as the first two Blade films. The first Blade movie made $70 million domestically,
Wow.
and the second one made $82 million domestically.
Oh, good for them.
They were like, well, it's only going up, right?
Well,
Same budget, don't change
but
a thing.
interestingly enough, on foreign markets, all three movies made the exact same amount,
Which is how much?
it's about $76 million.
I think the exact
So they're like up.
Yeah, they were up. This was
Dang.
technically a movie that grossed money.
Wow.
Did it make triple back? No, but it did come out in 2004, the age of DVDs, which
Now, wait.
basically made it impossible to make a movie that wasn't profitable.
I do have to ask. My question always is when it says, budget, that doesn't include marketing though.
No,
right?
it does not.
Right.
It doesn't. It doesn't include print marketing or television marketing or anything like that.
So,
that's
could be like under.
right, which is why a movie is on the books always has to make at least triple its budget back. However, and part of that is because you're looking at point system. This is getting very technical. I work in the industry, by the way. The whole reason, it's not
Expert.
my news. Yeah, the whole reason but it's not actually true because from like 1996 to about 2009, the advent of DVDs and the popular collection of DVDs made it so that you could like basically not turn a profit on a film.
Right.
Even bombs turned profits on films because you can print a VHS tape costs roughly $15 to make. Okay, because it's got actual VHS in it. You got to like print the thing, and you've got to pay off a certain amount of people. Once you get the rights for a DVD and are printing it, it's 77 cents to make a DVD. So when they're charging, 50, now that doesn't count any sort of intellectual property.
Right.
And anytime you buy a movie on DVD or Blu-ray, a lot of that money, not only is it going to the stars, but it's actually going to trickle down and hit a lot of those union guys that are working day to day. So no piracy, people. No piracy. Come on, we don't endorse that kind of thing.
Half-Baked,
Died?
what? No.
Oh, what?
It did pretty good. I mean, even though it didn't do well in the movie theaters.
Freddy Got Fingered
It's a
did
cult classic.
horribly, and
Yeah.
it made a ton of money in
But,
DVD sales.
but the other thing is
Friday.
they also do it as a tax write-off.
movie
So they'll
Friday.
say technically it tanked,
Right.
and then they'll write off the $52 million that they said it spent.
Wow,
on
this is
making
getting
movie.
very technical.
It
Welcome,
is,
welcome
right.
to the Inside of Hollywood podcast of the
they-
Darkest Timeline.
Don't they also
Wait, that's
like,
my line.
Oh, sorry.
don't they also make like a whole bunch of
my
shell
God, it's on tools.
corporations so that
Yes,
and then
basi-
bankrupt all the shell
Basically,
corporations?
New Line you're going to see the like the Blade Incorporated, the Trinity Incorporated, all this stuff that they funnel their money. This is why there's been a 10-year litigation case against all the major studios for taxes.
Uh-oh.
Because they make dummy corporations and they charge themselves and then say it's part of our budget, and which is why all movie studios operate at a loss.
Yeah. It's all
Interesting.
tax write-off.
Yet
Anyway.
are still around.
And yet they're still around. So back to the thing that I hated was structure, no style. There's no style in this movie. There's no cinematic style. It's a grind.
it
There's
could be said that every scene has its own style.
there's no. You can see that nobody was sitting there going, "Hey," there was no production. It didn't look like there was a production designer on this show. If you look at Blade 2 specifically, Blade 2 is so stylized. It's got that wonderful Guillermo del Toro. Let's make it dark and add vaginas and do something over here.
Is that what it
It's
does?
Nice.
He
I wanna
actually
watch that
says
movie right
he
now.
I've
actually
seen more of
says
those
that.
movies.
There's actually a point in Blade 2 where they go down into the sewers, which he had specially made sewers that were concave, or like oval and not circular, and he was said, "It's like I have a lot of vaginas in here." And Rusty Snipes like, "You're weird, Guillermo del Toro." But it's so stylized and so interesting. And then you have this movie, which you can tell that one, nobody was telling David S. Goyer, "Hey, that dialogue," which he has said in interviews, "I'm not good at dialogue." Yeah, cut it. Cut that dialogue.
He's not good at dialogue.
He's not. He's good at structure, and films are a structure-based way of making a movie.
Dude. Wow.
He's a good first
my goodness.
screenwriter to have other people do passes on.
But by the same token, he keeps working. He works
Yeah.
in the superhero genre.
That's true.
And let's be honest, Blade, the first Blade movie, is what triggered the whole superhero renaissance that we're living in now. It came out before
Yeah, it gets
X-Men.
no credit.
It Batman and
before X-Men?
Yes, it
X-Men
did.
was 2002.
I think X-Men.
Blade
more-
was 1997.
I'm sorry. I was thinking Blade, the one we just
No.
watched.
No. This is the first one.
No, and this was
This
was
tanked
2004.
the idea.
This was 2004
Right.
or 2005 actually. Blade 2 was 2002, and
Right,
the first Blade-
but I would also say that probably The Matrix had a lot to do with, like, it set the bar, even though it wasn't a superhero movie, it said,
Fantastical films.
this is what we can do with superpowers now.
Sure, but it grossed what $150 million, which is no small chump change.
Sure.
But it's not. It wasn't blowing the lid up or anything. X-Men grossed about 175 million.
Something like that.
Do you want to know how much David S. Goyer films have made
Okay, sure.
total? $3 billion.
Sure.
I'm gonna cry now.
Well, he's the major credited screenwriter on Dark Knight Rises, which
Right,
was a $1 billion, or Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight, which
Yeah.
was $1 billion.
And,
So most of it that.
$3 billion. That's
Hey,
David S. You are doing your well.
call me David S. because I want to make a movie.
I have an odd choice for my favorite part of the movie because it didn't actually happen. It was a
Wait, that's the
I already-
second person.
Well,
I already did that. Yours is an odd choice. Mine was an odd choice. F- you.
There were twins fighting in
Mine
front of me.
pertains-
I am now in the Twilight Zone.
Mine pertains to the movie itself, not just something Dave said.
Don't you poke me.
But the imaginary connotations of Dracula's character at the end of the movie during the speech that he makes.
Oh, the honor you fought with honor.
The whole you fought with honor and keep doing what you're doing, but the blood.
We have no
always, the
sense of
bloodlust
age of
always
this
wins.
guy.
Yeah,
like,
right.
like this is not a being that's been around for thousands of years
Yeah,
until like
but
the end.
It sort of implies that at some point in time he tried to be a good guy, but then like the bloodlust won over and he f***ed it all up.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, which is an interesting
That'd be a
thing.
cool
There's,
movie.
Like, that he just kind of my dying thought.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to see that movie.
Right. It just felt so heavy-handed to me. Like
It was.
Guess
because
what?
they
Blade
didn't
4.
build up to it.
Blade 4 is going to be when the thirst takes over,
That would have been
yeah.
cool.
and it's up to the Nightlings or whatever they're called.
Night
Stalkers.
Night Stalkers.
The Night
The Care
Stalk-
Bears.
right. The Night Stalkers to.
They bring in Jake Gyllenhaal as a reporter to help out.
No, it's up to the Night Stalkers to stop the new Dracula, which is actually Blade.
Oh, that's
That would have been
interesting.
interesting.
And Ryan Reynolds is the main character.
If only you and
Whoa.
David Goyer.
And Wesley Snipes is only allowed 13 lines,
Oh, okay.
but
so
they got to count.
Yeah.
Isn't Wesley Snipes in talks with Marvel right now to bring Blade back?
he's been a
I hope so.
He wants to.
He
I
wants
hope
to.
so.
Because the last
Yeah,
theatrical
is it
hit he
in
had
talks?
was this movie.
Yeah. He was in prison for a while.
Well,
Yeah, he was.
People
Well,
hard to
don't
make
know.
movies.
I don't think he
in
actually went
prison.
to prison.
He did for a couple months.
Wow.
Oh, so you just did your
Yeah, I just did my favorite part, which was Dracula's perceived
right.
former self or whatever. And my least favorite part is within that. So when Ryan Reynolds starts, after Ryan Reynolds kills the 3 dogs that Dave liked,
Which
didn't
was
they-
named-
Vampire dogs.
Totally didn't die.
By the way, named Pac-Man.
one
Right.
of them was.
Yeah, they
Well,
fell.
the Pomeranian.
They're vampires.
They didn't mention the other dogs until they came
Yeah,
in to
we
go
don't
beat
know
up Ryan
yet.
Reynolds.
That bothered me so much.
Yeah, it's like, by the way, there's 2 more.
Well, and
they're
vampire
Rottweilers.
dogs.
Yeah.
Vampire. No,
Yeah,
there's
why
not
are-
vampire dogs.
Why
Science
are the
doesn't work
vampire
that way.
dogs? Why are the vampire dogs Langoliers? What's it like the giant opening mouth? That's weird. That's weird.
Did you not see Blade 2? Never mind.
I don't
It's like
remember Blade
Tremors.
2. It's
Tremors
been
with
years
dogs.
since I saw Blade 2, which is a mistake, I admit.
Go ahead.
Well, we're going to see Blade 1 and 2 after this.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
Oh God, you guys.
But after he kills the dogs, after he lets the dogs run off the roof,
Apparently.
many stories down.
Pomeranian had a lot of room to stop, just didn't want to keep going. That lemming.
Hey, we've all seen Pomeranians. We all know that's how they all choose to die.
Yeah,
They all choose
If I
when
find
they
a
die.
40th story window that's open, I'm going.
Yeah. But after that, Ryan Reynolds walks backwards and falls back into his cell, where Triple H is waiting for him, and then he has a big old long fight with Triple H. That's cut in with a bunch of what you do with the other 3 fights.
I'd like to
going
point
on
out that
at
we do
time.
not know the name of the character that Triple H played because
Triple H.
It's Triple H.
I thought it was just Triple H.
I feel like
Isn't Triple H a
anyone was-
vampire?
Whenever Triple H was talking or being talked to, we were just like, hey, it's Triple H. So we couldn't hear anything anyway.
Yeah. It was an absolute sin in this movie that Triple H didn't pedigree Ryan Reynolds.
All right.
See, I call.
He did body slam him.
He did.
yeah, he did.
He used
He did.
He used a few wrestling moves and he tagged that one guy in, but he didn't do his signature move. And I understand that WWF or E or whatever it was in
if-
2004.
It was
Owned it.
WWE.
Okay,
but
it was
if The Rock can do a people's elbow in the rundown,
I
Triple H
forgot
could have
about
done.
That movie's great though, guys.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
good movie.
rundown.
If you haven't seen The Rundown, watch that instead of this movie.
That's the better version of Ryan
That's
Reynolds,
because
by the way.
that's because The Rock.
Sean William Scott?
Yes.
That's because no.
Wow.
Yes.
I
so
like them
I
for different
understand why you
reasons.
think things are terrible now because you have a skewed view of reality.
Oh, and I also
But
called
The Rock is
season
endlessly
DT.
charming.
Oh, sure.
So of course everything he's in is great.
The name of his character was Jarko Grimwood.
Ah, yes, the Hobbit,
sure.
Jarko Grimwood.
Clearly, that was his name. I simply forgot it. That was said every time.
His
Hey, Jarko Grimwood.
What are you doing? After I kill Blade, I must take this ring back to Mordor.
When was he born that his name is Jarko Grimwood?
Well, let's see.
He
at
was
some
born in the
point-
third age of Middle Earth. We all know that.
His friends call him Jarko. His students call him Professor Grimwood.
He teaches medieval history at CSUN.
But that girl in the third seat of his class just calls him Grimmy.
Great.
Are we done? Has everyone else done?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Next segment. What would you do to make this movie better?
How would you fix it?
How would you fix it?
Well,
I hate this part.
I would go ahead and make Blade the main character of the movie.
Well, you'd have to replace the director so Blade would actually come on set.
That's true. I guess I wouldn't have David Goyer direct the movie.
yeah.
Who would I don't even care who else directs the. I guess I would care.
Guillermo
I'd
del Toro?
Yeah, I'd bring him back,
Yeah.
and then Blade would actually talk, and be in the movie. and have more than, what, 100 and something lines?
He stares menacingly throughout the movie. Or he just stares.
He might, have... I mean, would he need character development? He's Blade. I mean, this movie was just Blade's badass. That's what this movie is. Whatever in anything that Blade's shot in, he's just being badass right now. And he doesn't say anything.
They could have used some character development. I mean, the only development-ish that I saw was when the guy talked about his mother and their doctor. I mean,
I mean, that was just him being like, "Don't you talk about my mom?" But he didn't actually.
He
say
didn't
that.
even do anything, though.
He was just like he kind of looked angry.
They got to him though.
Who he killed, by the way.
Eventually.
No, he did not.
He didn't.
Dracula killed
guy.
him.
Oh, come on, semantics.
Well, how
It's not semantics. If you're saying a fact that is not true.
No, he did. He stabbed her in the first one.
If I
Well, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
You're talking-
right
okay.
back in your face.
We're talking about the psychologist who was questioning Blade about his mother, as if to insinuate that he would have out a sexual attraction. Tell me about your mother. Are you close to her? We all know, having seen the first Blade, that Blade killed his
Yes,
mother.
his own mom.
So we thought you were
he
talking
didn't-
about
he
the
didn't kill her.
psychologist
He was
because
technically
Dracula
already
kills
dead.
the
Yeah,
psychologist.
he didn't kill her.
Also, the psychologist was just being a douche because he was a familiar. So,
all right,
Okay,
And he's also in a lot of great movies.
Josh.
Yes.
I wasn't
I
done
thought that was it. I've
chiding on the movie.
I've come to expect less of you.
I will go later. I have a lot.
Blade arguably should be the star of Blade Trinity, but I feel like I'm not sure who's really the main character. I feel like it might be Ryan Reynolds because he does the opening and ending monologues to the movie.
Yep.
Wait. The little kid in Mad Max: The Road Warrior does the opening and closing dialogues. To the
Yeah,
movie.
but
It doesn't
that's a
make him
good
the main-
movie.
But it doesn't make him the main character.
But it makes it a good movie.
But Ryan Reynolds is in the movie more than Blade, has more lines, and actually has like character stuff that goes on.
And
it
sucks
doesn't. It doesn't like fulfill
off,
It
yeah.
doesn't pay off because it doesn't get to kill the chick because it was written poorly and directed poorly. Goyer.
There's also an argument that could be made that the kid from Road Warrior is theoretically the Max from Fury Road.
Yeah, we all agree on that.
Boo.
You don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. I've seen them all.
Don't you boo?
But do you know what I'm talking
No, I
about?
just like to boo you.
Skewed view of reality.
Okay, who's
Boo, Dylan.
Poor man.
Okay, I guess
Poor
I'm
man.
done now.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I'm gonna say less Ryan Reynolds. Period.
Oh, the Ryan Reynolds.
Hold on.
Find a new argument.
Hey, can I just?
I didn't expect you
here's
to do
my
that.
Brett impression. Ryan Reynolds is terrible. No, that's it. Okay.
Goodness.
Yeah, you forgot a lot of my high pitched.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much about Ryan Reynolds.
Well,
Yes.
I
Oh,
do
yes.
him very much. Also, the airborne
Oh.
blood death is kind of.
I can see his inner monologue.
Although, I'm sorry, say that again.
Kind of stupid.
What was stupid?
The airborne blood death.
Yeah. So in the climax of the film, when they inject Dracula with a virus that he then coughs and kills everybody.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
part.
by the way, when his blood is flying through the air,
Yeah.
it sounds like bats.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yep.
That's true.
I guess I mostly don't like Ryan Reynolds being in it because I feel like he's obviously the same person in every film. And has he ever played a different guy? in
Yes.
a
Okay.
film?
Yes.
Before you
Several
before you
times.
finish
Name
talking,
'em.
Buried.
Buried?
Selfless.
1, 2,
I actually kind of.
and you're out. That's it. 2 strikes, you're out.
I need a list.
The other
I need
thing
2
is-
strikes. You named 2 things.
That's
Brett.
the problem. You only named 2.
Those are ground rule doubles.
Brett, before you keep hating on Ryan Reynolds, could you calm down that boner? It's lifting the table.
My Blade boner.
No, your Ryan Reynolds boner that you're suppressing.
Does he write his own lines, guys, for every film? he's
Okay.
in?
No.
Does he write every
What
line?
screenwriters are for?
No, because they're all the same in every film.
Because they're
he doesn't-
writing for Ryan Reynolds.
he doesn't
They're getting
write them.
notes to say, give Ryan Reynolds more funny stuff. That's what the people like.
garbage.
No, he doesn't write them. He improvs them.
No, he doesn't improv all his lines.
Not
Well,
all his
it's-
lines. A good portion of them, yes.
But that's the problem. They're giving him too much trust, and he is just too terrible.
Do you want to know? I was reading an interview with Patton Oswalt who was talking about this movie.
Oh,
and
boy.
One of the things that happened on this film was that because Wesley Snipes refused to show up, there were days where he was scheduled. He didn't show up. And one of the reasons that Ryan Reynolds does the opening and closing monologue of this movie,
Is because he wasn't there?
Wesley Snipes wouldn't do it, and
Wow.
and so a lot of Ryan Reynolds' lines were actually Patton Oswalt wrote a lot of them. The
Oh.
cast wrote a lot of them. Were just saying, say this, now say this, now say this.
Patton, you did a terrible job.
He was getting all these lines. No, but he was just getting all these lines. So he was doing every take with a different line. Goyer was just like, okay, keep saying it, just keep saying it. And then Goyer chose whatever he thought was the best.
So this was like legit a garbage film.
They didn't have the star. The star spent his days getting high with his friends in his trailer on weed. Would show up, do some of his fight scenes, toked out of his mind. But like hated. There's a whole bunch. This is a legend. The production of this film is a legend in Hollywood.
Wow.
Really?
Oh yeah, it is. This is how you'd make a bad film.
Well, sure. The writer's credible enough. The cast is like a mixed mash of like decent actors and writers.
Sure.
And then randomly, Wesley Snipes is not in it enough?
Well, Wesley Snipes is only in it for his close-ups.
Ugh.
Everything else is his double. It's his body double. He at one point told the director that he's ruining the movie and should quit.
Oh.
Now, David Goyer wrote the first 2 films as well.
Holy shit.
So it wasn't like this. He was new to the Blade, mythos. There was a day on set where the extras got to choose their own clothes and show up. So all those vampires you see at the end kind of showing up, some of those are just extras that got to wear their own clothes. Now, so they're like, wear your own clothes, just show up.
Because we are out of money.
And here's what happened: was one dude. They're in Vancouver. Now, Vancouver is one of the whitest cities in North America.
I didn't know that.
It is.
Wow.
Seattle's the whitest city in. I know because I'm from Seattle. Is one of the whitest city is the whitest city in America. Vancouver is actually one of the whitest cities in all of North America.
I thought it was Montreal because there's so much French Canadian.
But there's actually a lot of black immigration to Montreal.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Vancouver doesn't have a lot of African Americans there. Wow. Well, they're not African Americans; they're Canadians. So it's not. So they had like one extra who was black who chose to wear a shirt that said garbage on it, and Wesley Snipes saw. I don't know. Just said it, and so Wesley Snipes apparently saw this. Yelled at David Goyer like, "There's one black extra here, and you make him wear a shirt that says garbage, you racist mother." Jumped David Goyer and started choking him with his fist. They had to pull. Yes, they had to pull Wesley Snipes off of David Goyer.
What the?
Wesley, it's his shirt. He chose to wear it. It's his shirt.
He owns it.
It's his shirt. Please don't do that. And David Goyer's like, what's going on?
Or he was like, I'm going.
So what happened was that day the cast went out to a bar. And they ran into legendary actor Ron Perlman, who has been in a Blade movie, if you remember. He was in Blade 2. And Ron Perlman is a legitimate biker. He is a biker. He's a big motorcycle guy and knows bikers. And he was drinking with all these bikers. And David Goyer and the other cast said, we will buy all of your drinks tonight if all you bikers will show up on set tomorrow as like David Goyer's personal bodyguards. And they showed up on set. Wesley Snipes came out of his shirt and was like, what? No. There's all these giant bikers around David Goyer.
And I bet they were all white, too.
This racist mother.
Yeah, well, I'm just.
His bodyguards are their only white.
I feel bad because, like, if you are doing the casting call for extras in Vancouver, a majority of the people you're going to get are going to be Asians and white. Well, it's going to be white people and Asians because the majority of immigrants that came over to. There's tons of Koreans and Chinese people that immigrated over into that area of the country.
Right. They share the same emotions.
Yeah.
What?
Racist David.
No, Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, the Pacific Ocean.
It's easier to come from Japan.
You said share the same emotion. Yeah, we all heard you.
I said ocean.
So, like, I don't think David Goyer was thinking anything of it. I'm like, but this is actually a fairly decent multi-ethnic cast, and the whole Blade series has been a very strong multi-ethnic cast. Why are you trying to kill a man over this? Why are you physically choking someone over this?
So when Wesley came out of his trailer and he saw all the bikers.
Well, he was out of his mind high.
Right. And were all the bikers
here for me?
Were they all kind because they're all Canadians?
I have no idea. But after this, that was when Blade stopped talking to the director, Wesley Snipes stopped talking to the director and would only communicate with him in post-it notes that he would sign Blade.
Oh, I did hear that.
He would only sign the Blade.
Oh, man, that's true. That's terrible.
That's awesome.
So that was a Patton Oswalt and Ryan Reynolds interview.
Yikes.
All right, so how we got...
This oh man, what would I don't know about fixed. It'd be different.
All right.
We're gonna tie Blade into the Power Rangers universe. What was the Power Rangers series in 2004?
Who knows?
Why would I know that?
We were all adults.
Probably a dinosaur one. They've done several of those.
We were all adults
They've done
except for you
several
two.
dinosaur ones. I'm trying to
Okay,
think.
2004, we were 14.
Ninja one.
No, Ninja was like
Ninja
last
Storm?
season.
I don't
Or
know.
that's next season.
Wildstorm?
I don't know.
know.
Voltron knockoff number 8 because Voltron's a much better show.
Wow, you guys know so much about these
Well, I
shows.
think
What about Super Sentai, man?
Super Sentai came before Voltron.
Don't
man.
Super Sentai me.
I will nerd the out of you.
Okay, so 2004, you get Power Rangers SPD.
SPD. That was horse.
SPD, CSI, and
R.I.P.D.
Yeah.
But
Wait,
up
was
in-
that the future
callback.
one? Was that the one in the future?
It was stupid.
But that being said, the
it was just
original
dumb.
Power Rangers went to 2004.
Yeah. That was the well. We're not talking about them. We're
Some
talking
of
about
them are
the
dead
current.
now.
The current. Also, this is the TV movie.
And
Okay,
then
okay, so
in
let's-
2009, there was Power Rangers RPM, where they all have...
Made rotations per minute.
Well, they all had cars. right?
78.
Yeah, there were cars in that. We're not talking about Power Rangers in this podcast too much.
let's go.
Just me. Just me.
Okay, go.
Okay. All right,
So
go ahead.
this movie ties over with the Power Rangers universe now, and the Night Stalkers,
Yes,
yeah,
the
they're
Night
the Night
Stalkers.
Stalkers is Power Rangers. So that's the teams of people that Whistler has been making in like the background without Blade knowing about it. I guess.
Right,
Was he
asshole.
like part of that? I guess he was part of that.
In your movie, he is.
In my
Sure.
movie, he's part of that. He's their Zordon.
They apparently all knew him because there's a point where Ryan
Exactly.
Reynolds is like, it's Whistler, you're dead. And like, how do you even know who this guy is?
Well, when he works with
He's
his
their
daughter.
Zordon.
We got Power Rangers on the table.
Also, we're gonna switch it up in Power Ranger stuff. So Jessica Biel's the Red Ranger.
What?
Yeah.
You are...
No more sexism.
Can I say
Ryan
something about
Oh,
the-
wait. Is she wearing a sexy outfit as the Red Ranger?
She has a skirt and heels, so you know she's a girl.
Also, breast armor.
She also destroyed a $3,000 or $300,000 camera.
Not in my movie.
Well, in this one she did.
So in my
He
movie,
doesn't have the money to waste.
yeah,
on
no,
that.
it's a TV movie.
Guys,
We don't
I'm
have
hanging on
cameras.
every word here. I want to hear more about Power Rangers meets Blade.
But so Power Rangers and Power Rangers Blade. So but the Power Rangers. So the new big bad. I mean, it's still Drake. It's still Dracula. Except instead of like morphing into Kronos, if you understand that reference, he stays in his like weird prickly form because he looks like a Power Rangers villain,
Oh!
He does.
right? And
He just gets bigger.
yeah, and then all his buddies like Triple H and all them, they would have like weird armor on too because they have to be monsters for Power Rangers. But they'd all be like vampire themed monsters, but have like a weird thing. I was like, oh, he's a vampire guy that like was really into numbers and because it's weird and stupid. But it's like still the whole like the same plot except they're all like wearing dumb costumes and it's for children, but it's also hyper violent.
Does it include...
So like the new Power Rangers movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
Does it include the decapitation in the first scene?
It includes more decapitations in the first scene.
More.
Highlander
Everyone in the
level
first-
decapitations.
Yeah, Highlander level decap. Yeah, we're going. Every single vampire in this movie is decapitated. Every single one. Even if they die, they're decapitated after they're on the ground.
Okay.
And the humans.
That's
all
like the
humans.
rule. That's the rule of Power Rangers meets Blade. Is that vampires don't die unless you decapitate them. Stake through the heart, meh. Sunlight, meh.
This is a
Cross is
rural
silver.
world.
Who cares? Cut off the head.
I've always thought that vampires have so many weaknesses they can't help but die.
Well, in this one, they only really have one
Silver.
decapitation. Which to be fair, you could probably kill anything with decapitation, but especially vampires. They would also have their own giant robots.
John.
They would all be like one would be like a giant clove of garlic, and one would be a giant steak, and they're all like
Another would be a cross.
and one would be
giant versions of
one would
small
be
things.
the idea
This
of
is
sunlight.
a 12-year-old who was forced to watch Nightmare on Elm Street's wet dream. That's what you have just pitched.
I have an audience.
Okay, John, how would you fix this movie?
Well, they wouldn't do that.
Why not?
Right?
Sanity.
I would fix the movie. I just wouldn't make this.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I think we've gone over that. That's not a valid answer,
Yes,
John.
it is.
All right. So to fix this movie, okay.
I gave a pretty clear and concise answer. Come on.
Yeah, it was
Clear.
a little
game.
long though.
I mean, everyone else's answer has been so awesome, and I would threaten Wesley Snipes with a lawsuit.
Wait, Blade gets like indicted for tax evasion.
Threaten him.
Wait,
Hey, you haven't been paying your taxes. I will report this. No, not in the movie. Outside the movie, I will report this. If you don't start acting to get your.
Then we can come into the movie. It's very meta.
Yeah, and then Blade is like he's there, he's involved, and it's like, oh wow, this is the Blade from the first and the second movie. That's a start. That's a start for me. And actually, you know what? I was sitting there thinking, in the first and second Blade, this hasn't really been touched upon. Maybe Blade 2, but the scary aspect, because you're messing with vampires, right? Like, why not have scary points where, like, you know, you actually scare the audience, you know, where they jump out, and, you know, that would be cool. You know, play on that aspect of.
They did that pretty well in Blade 2. There's a lot of jump scares in it. There's no jump scares in this movie.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, why not tap into it? You don't have to overdo it, like overkill, but yeah, let's tap into it a little bit. Better fight scenes. I completely recast Dracula. He sucked. The guy who played...
That was Dominic Purcell, ladies and gentlemen, from Prison Break and...
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, DC's Legend.
I mean, hell, I would have... Russell Crowe, I don't know. I mean, he would have brought some gravitas to Dracula. And just like you're saying, stylistically, make it a little better, because this whole movie, I didn't feel any fear.
Did everything feel washed
Dracula.
out, like muted color? Like the color palette seemed kind of muted and is just sort of there. There wasn't no stark contrast between good and evil. There was nothing happening there.
There was no good and evil, it's all gray.
Right, but then that's a bad superhero movie.
I know, it's really
Yeah.
It was lame motivation. I would have motivation. I was like, why Dracula's there? I would have some backstory.
What's Blade's motivation?
I mean, because like you can draft it around. Once you figure out everybody else, then you can figure out your core character. Because that's typically, when I write, that's how it works. You know,
That was deep thoughts.
I believe
by John.
Blade's motivation was thinking the director's racist.
Oh, yeah.
That's his motivation not to come to set. That's different.
I wouldn't make Dracula look like a hipster.
Emo. Let's go emo.
Well, you know what? He's not emo. He's got that shaved
just
head.
trendy,
right.
just kind of trendy.
Dubstep.
He's nightclub ready.
Was there any dubstep in this movie?
They should have been. That would have been like more.
Well before
No, dubstep was
dubstep.
created in the 90s.
They had like a bunch of underworld music in this, and like terrible other DJs like Orbital.
I would I would have his presence be more threatening. He didn't seem threatening. He was just there. He was a guy. He was a dude walking around.
Oh.
Even when he was in the store, like looking at, he was just kind of pissed off. Just, really? You have my Dracula stuff? And I wasn't afraid. I was kind of worried for the guy. I was like, hey, you don't really know who you're talking to, but you know, whatever, it's you. I mean, because I didn't care. You know.
Well, to be fair, that point I made was he didn't ask to be there. He's just there.
True.
But it would have been more interesting if Dracula, instead of being, he was a thug. He's big and he's brash and he's hitting people. If you had Hans Gruber from Die Hard as Dracula, that he's got that sense of humor, he's stylish, he's sophisticated. Because
this Dracula was stylish as
he
hell.
was not stylish, but old school stylish. If this guy still came back with this Bram Stoker idea of Dracula, of this, I'm old world, I'm above all of this, and this is almost all humorous to me, that would make his moments of actual, when he was threatening things, when he, and the fact that he runs from Blade is a problem.
Or when he felt threatened, like to step up, that would have more gravitas to it.
Exactly.
If he's like, I'm above it, I'm above it, I'm above it. Okay.
Not quite above it.
I'm not above this because this is a problem for me.
Right.
And it's like, that's interesting.
So I mean, basically, just to sum up what I did, little tweaks on casting, better casting, smarter writing, smarter dialogue, better motivations, and like I said, threatening Wesley Snipes with a lawsuit. I think that's basically better fight scenes. I mean, just have it be a more involved. It just seemed like, hey, let's just shoot something, in a sense, where you kind of have some people that are, hey, you know how to do fight scenes, right? Yeah, kind of. Okay, yeah, come on the set. We'll come up with some stuff. That's what I would do. I would change all of that, and yeah, I think that's basically it for me. Because I mean, this movie is kind of tiring. That's the thing. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's not as bad as I remembered. But it's probably just because I watched Blade 1, Blade 2 successfully, and then watched Blade 3, and it's like, what the f? Because like I said, Blade wasn't the main character. That's bullshit. And then, another thing. At the end of the movie, I didn't really like. Basically said, "Hey, Blade, you're gonna give in. You're gonna lose." So it's like, okay, so Blade is technically now the bad guy. What kind of bullshit is this? How are you gonna end the movie like this? I'm gonna ride off and I'm the new villain eventually. It's like, what the f- this?
Wait a few years.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for Jessica Biel to kill me.
But that was that was a hint of an idea that never even got built on.
That's true.
You know, to be fair, a lot of the fight scenes in the movie felt like second unit B-roll fight scenes.
Yes, it did.
All right, I've got my pitch. This movie becomes focused on Blade as the main character again, and in the opening scene, it's not
bold choice. Bold choice.
It's but in the opening scene, it's not just him on it by himself. He's already hooked up with the Night Stalkers. He's made friends with them. He's learned to trust, and then the first pinch is they all get killed. Like everyone gets killed. And
Not
he's left
Jessica
on his own.
Biel.
Yeah, Jessica Biel. Like, you even keep Jessica Biel in there because you're like, oh yeah, this is like a main character. It's like this is a big.
So that's the end of your Act 1, basically.
Right.
Hypothetically, just if this was, would her clothes be torn in any way?
Yeah, but torn a la Natalie Portman in episode 3.
And would
So you don't really see
Oh,
anything.
well, midriff, so that's.
and would they have sex?
No,
There has to be a sex.
No
scene.
sex.
There's no love story.
No
in
sex.
this.
No, necrophilia, hardcore
no-
all the way.
He learned what it was to be a person again, and he gets it all taken away. Meanwhile, the vampires have resurrected Dracula again. The Dracula isn't just a guy who's like, hey, I'm here. I guess I'm going to go shopping at a mall or whatever. He realizes that his role is he has to be Dracula, but he doesn't want to be Dracula. Like, he went to sleep because he's tired of it. He rampaged through all of Europe for 1,000 years, and it's just boring. It's not that he's, like, repentant of anything like that. He's just like, okay, I've done this. And then they're like, no, we need you. And so Parker Posey's character, Triple H, all those people, like, almost have, like, a psychic bond with him where they have to, like, fall in line, and, like, he's automatically the alpha. And then Blade sees a lot of himself in Dracula, and instead of trying to defeat Dracula, it's been all, like, trying to bring Dracula around and, like, find some redeeming way of
They gotta be bros.
Yeah, it's
go for a drink.
it's him trying to redeem Dracula, and in the end, failing, and Dracula dying.
Just kind of dying, old age, you know.
No. It could be maybe he's like, no, I've been suppressing it for too long. I know what I'm good at, and then he just we're putting this like in an orphanage where he's just like chomping on babies and like throwing nurses against the wall and
Pretty sure
breaking their necks.
orphanages aren't really a thing anymore.
That they are in different
They are in
places.
Europe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we in Europe?
We
South
could be
America.
we could be anywhere.
Fair enough.
And the other thing is the vampires fly. There just needs to be more flight. And I was sad that Dracula didn't fly. They jumped around.
There was no wings.
There were no wings.
They don't
There
do
are
that
There are rules.
Traditionally,
on, man,
vampires only
they're
fly if they
vampires.
turn into a bat. They don't just
Right.
fly around
And only
willy
and
nilly.
in Blade,
Yeah,
in
flight
Blade's
is shot
universe,
down.
the only one that could do that is technically Dracula.
Yeah, boo.
And to go back to your blood
Yeah.
thing.
You don't know shit about vampires.
I felt like I had all 5 of you for about 30 seconds, and then,
it took,
you just.
The 30 seconds, by the way, were 5
When
and
you
a half
start
minutes.
when you start talking about vampire lore, be ready for backlash.
All right, I'm done.
It's not vampire lore. It's Blade mythos.
What are you gonna?
Well,
There's some great trivia about this movie. Does
we're
anyone
kicking.
hear it?
Nope, we're
No.
kicking it to Josh, and then we're gonna get the
Trivia
cards.
always makes it interesting.
Okay, so
long.
the big thing about this
better
movie
than
is that it's got a
ranting.
lot of ideas that and a lot of setups that never pay off. The original plot of this movie was going to be about the vampire final solution. This like harvesting of people. Originally, like Goyer wanted to set it way in the future, which I think is a bad idea, and have like it's Blade alone fighting these vampires who are harvesting humans, and he's trying to free the humans. It's like literally vampires or the androids in the Matrix, and Blade trying to save them and open up whatever's
that's
going.
something.
That's a thing. I don't think that's a good story. I like the Dracula thing, and I don't mind the fact that it's called Blade Trinity. However, the fact that it's called Blade Trinity is it's a religious reference. When you say Trinity, that it has a religious connotation, right? Which means that it feels like they were setting up a bad Trinity and a good Trinity. I mean, if you want to keep... Hannibal King is part of the Blade mythos. Hannibal King was a vampire, not a human. He was a vampire private detective. Essentially, that Blade never trusted because you're a vampire. He's like, yeah, but I'm decent. I'm working on it. You know, that was sort of the mythos of Hannibal King in the comics.
Well, he was cured, but he still kept like all his vampire stuff at some point.
Yeah.
So he was still
Eventually, but
technically a vampire.
When he and Blade first meets, he is a vampire, and then he gets cured throughout the stories.
But even cured, I think it comes back after a while.
Yeah. So anyway, so I don't mind the addition of a new team, and to that end, you do need to get rid of Whistler. But in this movie, when Whistler dies, there's no emotion about it. It's his father, and Abigail has lost her father. They have no time where they're just like, our dad died. My father is dead.
She
How
cries
do I pick up?
She cries about the blind girl more.
Right. Yeah. So the big thing for me, make Dracula the bad guy, because then you're literally talking about you have the old gods essentially versus the new gods. You know, you have if you have a Blade Trinity of I don't know, it's not Father, Son, Holy Spirit, whatever it is. If you have like human half-breed, partial vampire, whatever you want to do, fighting this old god, and who is going to win in this? Make it a religious war. So that's one, but just have Dracula. Dracula is an interesting enough foil from the get go, and like you said, maybe if he went to sleep because he got tired. I said you pointing to Dave. If Dracula gets tired, so he's over it, and they wake him up, and he comes out. He's like, "Why have you woken me up? I have humans have nothing," and then discovers there were 2 world wars while I was sleeping. There were all these things. Humanity has progressed. They are worthy of me destroying them now.
So many wars.
Yes, now I could. There's carnage for me to wreck again. I could do something with what humans have become.
I can work with
that's
this.
That's an interest. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. And Blade has to say no. I got to fight for humanity's soul. I mean, then there's a lot of themes going on there. There's a lot of remorse going on there. Beat for beat. Well, one I would. Get a new production designer. Get a new costume designer.
You mean a production designer?
But so do all of that and make it so that the emotional arc of Blade has to be, I'm going to kill the thing that has created me, to an extent. Because Dracula, if Dracula is the original vampire, which is a solid idea, very good. I'm going to kill this thing, and that would give him some, he's still and sees the honor in him. Blade has a sense of honor. So honor can become another theme of this film. That's all you need. Dracula can show up, get Parker Posey's character, get Triple H's character, and be like, okay, you guys are my henchmen. This is what we're going. This is the plan. He needs to be smart. He needs to be elegant. He needs to be sexual. Dracula is sexual.
Traditionally,
yeah. He is a sexual being, and Bram Stoker's original story, which if you haven't read it, is largely an allegory for seduction. What the psychologist says about the sharing of bodily fluids and blood drinking. That's kind of what people thought when they were reading it at the time. This was the time of Freud was coming up with his theories, and people were kind of sex is kind of a thing we like. It's we all like sex. Come on, but so he has to be sexy. He's not sexy. I would almost want to get someone who's tall and menacing, because once Dracula turns into big old buff Dracula, it can be anything. You didn't need to cast a strong guy in that role. Dominic Purcell does not need to be it. You need someone who is elegant. You could have a Gary Oldman, a Tom Hiddleston, an actor who is handsome and regal, but he should be almost godlike in his beauty. I mean,
Hemsworth.
What? Sure.
Before he was big.
He's the devil, basically. Dracula is the devil, for all intents and purposes. And that's what it should have been. And that should have been the fight.
The new guy that's playing, the devil on a TV show? What's the name of that?
Oh, yeah.
Lucifer.
The guy. That guy, yeah.
He's great.
He's great.
He looks like
He
it.
would be great if it was, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's...
12 years ago, he wouldn't be nearly old enough.
Right, yeah. But that's how I would fix the movie. So basically, I'm stealing a lot of your ideas.
No, it's fine.
I think we all basically stole the idea that maybe Blade should be the main character of the movie. So
I don't understand why you put Power Rangers in yours too.
I want to throw out a recommendation for everyone here at the table. The movie is called Daybreakers, 2009. Ethan Hawke and William Dafoe.
Sure.
The plot is basically the idea of what this movie was originally supposed to be. Set in the future. Humanity's almost wiped out. They're actually running out of blood.
And I actually love that movie.
And it's a,
really?
I thought it was a kick-ass movie.
I liked it too.
I was late at night. I have to be.
I do have to admit, it dipped at one point, and I was like,
I've never seen
pick
it.
it up.
But I would recommend seeing Daybreakers. It was on Netflix for a while. I don't
It
think
does
it is
have a dip
anymore.
in the movie, though.
Willem Dafoe would have been a great.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Dracula.
in that. Yeah, he's in
Yeah.
Dead
But no,
Breakers.
but if we put him in this movie
Yeah.
as Dracula,
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah,
would have
yeah.
been fantastic.
Is that everyone's fixing?
Yeah.
So grab the cards.
Yeah.
So what are these?
These are our James Bond cards.
Oh, you have James Bond cards.
We have James Bond cards.
You never described that on
It's
the podcast.
almost like we never talked about it
quick.
before.
All right, my first choice would be. I feel like we just need to finish the Ryan Reynolds circuit.
No.
So X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I thought we did it already.
No,
He might be my favorite part of that movie.
No, he
He's-
wasn't.
scenes when he's
he's the best.
This
part.
will
Yeah.
be the last of
ruined
his
him
bad
completely.
superhero stuff.
Guys, come on. He's terrible.
The guests.
that's the point of the podcast, Brett.
I think the guests gonna say.
Do I get to say?
Anyone around the table gets
Of course,
to say.
all the guests get a pick.
Based upon the list that I barely remember having seen, I'm going to choose.
Can I see the list?
Have you seen League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
not yet.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is my choice.
No.
Sean Connery's last film that made him quit acting.
The gummy bears, the
Which is too
weird gummy
bad,
bears.
'cause he's a great actor.
Also directed by Stephen Norrington, who directed the first Blade movie.
Oh,
Really?
Yes.
Wow. There is a scene of Sean Connery talking to a bunch of bears.
Yes, that's in the Avengers.
That's the Avengers.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah,
Not
the
League of
Avengers.
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No,
Okay.
no, no.
I always
Is that
get
a
those two
comic
mixed
book?
up. But two
The
similar.
Avengers was not. The Avengers was a 1960s film. The film stars Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman.
Thurman.
I really liked the part of that
God, that
movie
movie's terrible.
where he
It's
was
really good. I saw
where
it
he
in
was
theaters.
he was facing off with Dr. No.
Ian, what do you pick?
I pick Jonah Hex because I picked it last
You
week.
always
and it
pick
didn't
That's not a bad
win.
choice.
He's done it twice. It's just the second time.
It
I mean,
looks
always.
good, actually, though.
That's not the case.
By our image.
Yeah,
I've seen.
well, I actually have read Jonah Hex comic books and watched the movie, so it's terrible. It's awful.
I wouldn't mind seeing it because I really like the casting for
You
it.
know, after watching all that Jessica Biel stuff, what we should watch is Barbarella. But
Oh, no. garbage. No.
That could have been your pick. Wasn't. Oh well.
yeah, I chose League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Could you pick
Dylan.
Barbara?
I am going to. I'm gonna to spite Brett.
Yep.
A voting block
Off.
with Dave for Wolverine Origins.
Voting blocks should not exist.
That's your opinion.
And the opinion of America.
John, what do you think?
Screw it. Howard the Duck.
Oh.
Howard the Duck made me vomit when I watched it.
Not
It
really.
was so bad. I
Wow.
actually threw up after watching
I've
it.
never
I-
actually seen it.
I've
seen
done that with
parts
that
of it.
movie and Ocean's 12 is the two times I've actually
Ocean's
vomited
12
after
is
watching
the worst of that trilogy.
it. It is the worst of that trilogy.
But it's not vomitable. I mean, come on.
Don't get me started.
The first movie is so good, though.
Yeah.
All right,
What do you
someone else.
choose?
No, I think
All
are we?
right. I'm going to go with.
Barbarella?
No. It's between Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, and Spawn. I'm going to do Spawn.
Ooh.
That's my first.
Okay,
Spawn.
Spawn.
Okay,
I say guest picks a card for everybody.
No.
Yes! He's the guest!
You say a lot of things, Brett.
Dylan, and
You're not allowed to
you
look
rebut
at me.
everything I have to say.
Not
We
everything.
want it to be a surprise.
You like The Princess Bride.
It's a great movie.
See, that's the only thing I agree with that you've ever said.
Well, I hate you. Do you agree with that?
No, I think that's fair.
I should pick the other one.
Subjectivity, man.
Subjectivity.
all right. You know what I got?
Shitty
I
fucking
got
comedy.
Sylvia Trench.
From Dr. No
from
and
Dr. No.
From Russia with Love.
And
Let's all quit.
Man, she sounds like
she's
a-
a three of spades.
And that name sounds like a three of spades.
Can
I go next?
Statistically, I can't win.
Sure, we'll go clockwise.
Was she
Here we go. I have Miss Caruso, also known as Madeline Smith, in 1973, Live and Let Die. She's a 3 of clubs.
Oh, another three.
That's why I want to go next.
so far tied with threes? I wonder if we can keep this up.
Woo! I did not win.
Well, we could only have
Another
4
three
of them.
and
3, 4, 8 threes.
No.
And now,
Three.
I now call.
Really?
Somebody has to do it. Helga Brandt,
Sounds like a 3.
who played Karen
She's a 7.
Karen Dorr, in 1967. She looks like if she took her makeup out, she wouldn't look that great. But and-
She's the prince. She's the woman that Roger Moore's seducing at the beginning of the movie.
yeah,
Mine?
And you only
Yeah.
live once.
You only live
It's
twice.
4
a four.
You're winning.
You're one up on us, too?
diamonds.
That's
You only live
disgusting.
It
twice.
strikes me that if we keep using this deck for long enough, eventually, just by the
We're gonna know
person
these
saying the
names.
name, it's gonna be like, oh, that's an 8.
Oh,
Damn
and
it.
and not only that, this chick was hot in that movie.
This is the only reason I wanted to be on this podcast because I'm a huge James Bond fan, and I was like, I'm stealing this deck.
Dylan,
Okay.
what do you got?
I have
Please say it's a three.
I have.
Why is it so close to your face?
Well, because I'm trying to hide it from everybody else,
Are you
Brett.
f***ing kidding me? We're gonna find out in 2 seconds.
It's Jenny Flex. Jenny Flex.
Oh, Jenny
God.
Flex. Sure.
She's played by Allison Doody in 19...
Wait. Her name in the show is Jennifer Flex, and her real name in life is Allison Doody.
Jenny Flex.
I don't give a shit if it's Absent Flex.
In 1985's A View to Kill. And
First
she,
Bond we've ever saw.
and she, I'm currently winning.
worst
I'm currently winning with a 5. So we've got 2 3s, a 4, and a 5.
St. John Smythe.
Which is St. John.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan.
Okay.
St. John Smythe.
I have Honey Rider.
Oh,
Love
snap.
it, name.
That sounds
Yeah,
like an ace.
she's great.
She's
Okay.
no, she's higher than that.
Ursula Andress.
Yeah, no joke.
From 1962's Doctor
That's
No.
gonna be a queen.
Ace.
Yeah, that's.
You.
What do you
She's a
got?
Bond girl. I've got Lupe Lamora from License to Kill. She was, which is the ultra-violent 1989 Bond film with Timothy Dalton. If you haven't seen it,
She's
they
the number
filmed it in
10 of
Mexico.
Diamonds, by the way.
A
10
10.
of Diamonds,
So we're
yeah.
watching Jonah Hex.
It looks good.
Be sure to rate, subscribe, and
DTLPodcast.com, at DTLPodcast on Twitter and
Hashtag.
Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher, and other places that just pull from our RSS feed. And
Great.
they're-
I listen to it on Stitcher, and I'm alone.
Yeah, he's
Come join me.
Yeah, Josh is the only person who listens on Stitcher, and I know this because I looked at the Stitcher analytics.
What about Overcast? Anybody use the app Overcast?
Never heard of it.
good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, goodbye.
See you.
Enough! It's not funny anymore.
No, it's not, you horse-humping But it will be a few seconds from now. Huh? You see that tickle that you're feeling in the back of your throat right now? That's atomized colloidal silver. It's being pumped through the building's air conditioning system, you juggling thunder